Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to our second edition of Winning Ways, our online forum for Millionaire Mindset Concepts. MMC is a Bible-based financial literacy program, and our vision is to teach the fundamental principles of kingdom wealth and prosperity. Thank you so much for tuning in, logging in from wherever you are, and joining me today. I really appreciate it. My name is Joanne Kamau, co-founder of MMC. Karibu Sana. Just to recap on last month, this is what we were talking about, saving and investment. I can already see that we have some people online together with us. Thank you. Call your friends, tell them to join us, and let's just have a short recap on what we did last month. But throughout the conversation, we want to hear from you. What are your views? What are your opinions? What's your take? What do you think about it? What did we say last time? Number one, saving and investment is biblical. And we looked at Proverbs 21 and verse 5, which says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty, surely to poverty." We're just doing a recap as you settle in and as you call your friends to join in. And we said making a firm decision to save and invest is a solid plan that secures your financial destiny. If at all you feel, I want to live a long life, you determine the quality of your life. Saving and investment is one of the ways of guaranteeing that you don't have life on anybody else's terms. So as we talk, throw in your comments, share your views, ask questions, and let's just learn and grow together. Number two, we said saving honors God. And somebody asked, how is that possible? We looked at James chapter 1 and verse 17. This is what it says. "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning." The moment you realize that what you have, be it your job, be it your spouse, or even finances, don't come from anywhere else, but God is the source, the next step is you want to honor him with whatever he has blessed you with. You want to be a good steward of God's blessings on your life. And you know what? Saving and investments is one very good way of stewarding the resources God has brought your way. I like to talk to young people and tell them, having a chance to go to school or to have an education is not something to take for granted just because your parents can afford it. We have people in our country, we have people across the globe, because of circumstances, they don't have that option. They cannot go to school. So for you to be a good steward over the opportunity of going to school, you need to give it your best shot. You need to bring your A game on the table. So thank you for joining Winning Ways today, our second edition. We are talking about savings and investments. What is your view? What is your take? Is it important? Do you think it's overrated? Do you think it's not important? I can just go from day to day. Do you feel it's important to plan for the future or not? I would love to hear from you, and let's just keep talking. Number three, we said saving enables us to serve others. Ephesians chapter 4 and 28. We are doing a recap. And this is what it says. "Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him labor, working with his hands what is good, that he may have something to give him who is in need," or him who has a situation, or him who is in a circumstance beyond their resources. I don't know if you've gone through this. It has happened to me so many times. Every so often, a good friend, I'm not just talking about maybe a user, I'm talking about a very good friend, probably even someone who's come through for you in the past, will walk up to you and they'll take you in confidence. They'll confide and tell you, I'm going through a very difficult moment. Things are not working out. I'm not able to make ends meet. Could you step in? Could you help? I don't know about you, but one of the worst feelings ever is being unable to help that good friend, being unable to step in and offer a solution. Let's talk. Let's hear what you have to say. Just share your views, share your comments, and let's grow together. Number 4, why do we save? Why do we invest? It counters debt. It counters debt. Let's look at Proverbs 22, verse 7, even as your comments keep coming in. What does it say in Proverbs 22 and verse 7? The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Anytime you get yourself into a position of debt, whether it's with a bank or with a friend, you are in a sort of bondage, according to this particular scripture. Debts are a painful burden, and I think we can all agree on that. Debts are a very, very painful burden to bear. And if you read along that Proverbs chapter 22 and get to verse 26 to 27, it tells us that do not shake hands in a pledge. Do not be one who is a surety for debts. Why? If you are not able to pay, they will take the very bed from under you. They will take the very, very bed from under you. So as we continue sharing and talking, I'm here in studio with quite a number of people, and we are just waiting to hear from you. I want to call on my production assistant, Pastor Koi. She's here with me. She just passes to us the comments that we are getting live from you. Let's talk and let's converse. My question today is, when is the best time to start saving? What's your view? What's your opinion? I have a couple of you talking to us here. We have Carolina all the way in Nairobi. She says, great, I'm learning. Shalom Kamau is saying, I'm so excited, ready to learn. Milka Wanjiro, all the way from Thika, she says, I'm ready to learn. Ruth Wabi, thank you for tuning in again. We were with you in the first edition. And she says, I'm listening keenly. We have Caro Kawera, tuned in and ready to learn. And I just want to hear from you. We also have Pastor Sam Kamau. He says he is watching. Our question today, and I just want to hear your responses. When is the best time to start saving an investment? I also want to hear your take. What are your experiences? Have you ever invested and it flopped? Have you had a bad experience with investing? Have you stepped out and you're like, this thing is easier than I thought it would be? Let's talk. Let's sharpen one another. This forum is interactive so that we can grow. As you send in your thoughts, I want us to just delve into wisdom from Africa. Wisdom from Africa. There's a saying, sugarcane is sweetest at its joint. Sugarcane is sweetest at its joint. And I think this is so apt in view of what we are discussing today when we're talking about saving and investment, developing an enduring culture. If you look at so many people who've made it, people that we call icons, people that we look up to, they have ingrained into their lifestyle a certain culture. And today I'm saying that, can we ingrain the culture of saving, the culture of investment? And how does this saying, wisdom from Africa, sugarcane is sweetest at its joint, how does that tie in? This is what it means. Good and sweet things of life may appear difficult to achieve, but in the end, it is worth it. If you have ever enjoyed sugarcane, the fleshy part is easy to deal with. You bite, maybe some of us, we cut it with a knife, and it's easy to chew. It's at the joint that it becomes a bit tricky. Working your teeth around it, wrapping your lips around it, it also gets messier. But guess what? That part that we tend to throw away, that's actually the sweetest part. It lines up so much with saving and investment. It's not the sweetest practice because we are more or less, give or take, consumers. We find it easy to consume than engaging in a productive mindset that says, okay, I have this that has come into my hands, maybe my salary, maybe a bonus, maybe a financial gift. The way we are wired, most of us, is just to enjoy it or celebrate it. And we figure celebration as blowing it at that particular moment. We say, I earned it, I should spend it, and that's okay. But we want to get to that joint of the sugar cane. It's not so automatic, it's not so easy, but we want to get the sweetest part of our earnings. How do we do it? We do it through saving, we do it through investment. So talk to me today. What has been your experience? I want to hear questions from you. I want to hear your comments. I want to know your journey. Have you started? Are you planning to start? Are you in that category of people who say, you know what, the last I checked, God is in control of my life and He will cater for me, He will give me everything I need? That is true. Or are you in this other category that says, you know what, God has given me wisdom and I need to apply that wisdom if at all I want a bright future? I want to challenge you. When we look around and see people who are living well, what's our mindset? Do we tend to think, well, you're living like that because you had rich parents, or you're living like that because of this? At the end of every result, there's a story behind there. So we just want to hear from you. Keep talking. Pastor Sam says, sugarcane principle is very, very profound. And when I came across this saying, I was rather shocked because guilty as charged, I'm one of those people that tends to throw away that part. So the next sugarcane I get, you better believe that I will leave that part just to give it a little bit more attention and enjoy. We have Isabella Minor watching us all the way in, just here in Nairobi, and she says she's following and she's enjoying the wisdom from Africa. Thank you so much, Christine Odwar. You have signed in and logged in from Syokimau. Thank you. We really appreciate. We are glad to have you here. Frederick Kituyan in Thika says, I am watching. Nyadhama Wangoi Minor. I am tuned in and thankful for the wisdom and the insight. I'm paying keen attention for kingdom nuggets. And we have Mr. K. Kirigi. He says he's tuned in from Kiambu and learning a lot. Being an interactive program, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your experiences. I want to hear your journey. Where are you coming from? The Bible says in the book of Romans chapter 9 and verse 16, it is not of him that willeth or of him that runneth, but of God that shows mercy. Being that we are learning kingdom principles on wealth and prosperity, we want to dig into the Word of God. And sometimes when I interact with people, they say it's just too hard. I don't see how I can start, being that I am in this situation, being that I am already strapped for cash, being that it is already very difficult. How do I begin to save? How do I begin to invest? And I think today we really just want to get into that right now. As you are right now, without furthering your education, without getting another stream of income, before you polish, say, your diction or your language, before you get other connections or before other doors open to you. My challenge is it possible, as you are right now, watching this live broadcast on Facebook, is it possible for you, where you are, whether you're just got into college or you're just about to get out or you're planning to get in, or if you're in between jobs, is it possible for you to begin to inculcate into your lifestyle the culture of saving and investment? I really, really want to hear back from you in terms of that, regardless of whether you have the finances, because some of you watching, you're in a good time, you're in a good place right now. You've just gotten a job, or you've just gotten promoted, or you've just gotten into your inheritance. You're in a role and things are going well. Does saving and investment apply to you? For that, I would go to Joseph. The Bible says there was a time that there was famine in Egypt. But before it came, God spoke to Pharaoh in a dream. And there were these 7 fat cows, and they looked really good. And then after that, there were 7 lean cows, and he could not understand what is going on. So Joseph comes and interprets the dream. It's a well-known story. And he tells him the 7 fat cows are the years of plenty that we are just about to get into. But after that, we are going to have years of scarcity. And what does Joseph advise Pharaoh to do? Not only for Pharaoh's sake, but to safeguard the future and the security of the entire nation. He tells him, in this time of plenty, we need to know how we are going to do what we are doing so that when the years of scarcity come, we don't feel them. And that's the point of saving and investment. It's not about hoping for a bad day. It's just being practical. I know that I have a future. So we are not saving because we're going to have a bad day. We are not investing because we're going to have a bad day. No, far from it. We are saying we are saving and investing because we're going to have a future. How that future comes, we cannot predict. We don't know if we'll still have this job. We don't know if we'll still be married. We don't know if we'll have our children. We don't know if we'll be in a role, or things will have cooled down, or things will have nosedived. But what we do know is that we are going to have a future. And that's the basis that we need to start our saving and investment from. I will have a future. Nobody sits down and says, I want to die tomorrow, or I want to die after a year, or I want to die after 2 months. Everybody thinks, I want to live a long life. That's where saving and investment comes in. And if we go back to the story of Joseph, they were able, through the wisdom of Joseph, to save part of the grain that they had in the years of plenty and invest it in silos. And when there was no food coming in, the people could then come and they would be able to partake of that. So when is the best time, in your opinion, to start saving and investing? When is the best time for you to get in there? And I think I have a couple of people here speaking to us, sharing their view. If I can just get there. We even have Kagure and Gary. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me just call my assistant, sometimes gadgets, Pastor Koi. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. Lucy Gitch, she says she's tuned in from Nairobi and ready to learn. We have Rachel Mudhoni, I believe, tuned in from Thika. She says, I am so excited. I'm here and I am learning. And I'm waiting to hear from you. And here is Nyadama. She says, the saving culture was such a foreign concept for me. I thought that one had to earn large amounts of money and then save or invest And she asks a good question. Where does one start? Before I can answer her, I want to hear from you. Where does one start? And is saving an investment for everybody? Is it for students? Is it for retirees? Is it for employers? Is it for employees? Is it for people in power? This saving an investment, who is it for? And she's saying here that she'd like that answer. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm going through just scrolling and seeing. I want you to help me answer Nyadama. She's saying, where does one start from in the culture of saving and investment? I want to say my opinion, you start now. In my opinion, you start here. You start the way you are. And I just want to qualify that by giving us a couple of ways that we can start now, right now, saving, like immediately after this live broadcast. Somebody will be sitting and saying, okay, I am now convinced I need to save and invest, but where do I start? I don't even have a job. How do I get there? Number one, monetize your hobby. Monetize your hobby. We all have hobbies, things that we love to do, things that we enjoy to do, things that are so much a part of us, we can basically do them in our sleep. Yet, so many people around us struggle to do them. But because it's something that has always been in us since we were little kids, we kind of turn a blind eye to it. We don't maximize it, or we don't think that it can be a source of income to us. That's the first place I would start. And because we are on a different playing ground as we watch this, I just want to talk to that person who's really feeling, I really have nowhere to start. Monetize your hobby. What are you really great at? What do you enjoy doing? There are those things that you say, this one, I can do it for free. Even if I'm not paid, I can do it for free. What are those things? Are you one of those people who makes amazing chapatis? I always like to say, some people, they make chapatis, and others, they make mabatis. So for you, maybe you are those people, your chapatis, they always carry the day in any function. Whether you're meeting with your cousins, whether it's the Christmas holiday, even now in the office, people know this is the person who makes really nice chapatis. Are you one of those people who is great at styling hair? It doesn't matter if it's our nappy African hair, if it's Caucasian hair, you are really good. You have a hand at it. It's a knack that you have. Are you one of those people, you are just a whiz at fixing cars? I mean, whatever the situation, you can be able to fix it. Are you one of those people who is brilliant at writing proposals? Are you one of those people who has a green thumb? I mean, so long as it's a patch of ground, you can make anything grow on it. Are you super fast, say in typing? Or are you an excellent host or hostess? When there are parties, you're just that go-to friend. Whenever people are gathering, it doesn't matter if it's family gatherings, they always call you in because you're just so excellent at handling people. Are you great with children? These are the things I'm talking about. Instead of offering these services for free, as you have been doing up to now, why don't you attach a reasonable fee? Now, why do I like this and why do I think it's a reasonable solution? You don't need training. You don't need startup capital. Just as you are right now, you continue doing what you've been doing, but now you price it just reasonably. How do we go about pricing? Because that's another thing that challenges people. Open your ears, keep your ears open, and just begin to talk to people. Hey, how much do you usually pay for this? How much do you usually, how much does it cost you to access this kind of a service? Then you can be able to moderately price whatever service that you are giving. And because you're new coming in, let it be that it's reasonable. I won't say cheap, but I would say affordable. And from there, it shall grow. So do you see? Right there, you have a way to start earning money, not for spending, but for saving and investing from something that you already had within your care. Recently, I was talking to somebody and they realized, wait a minute, I own a lawnmower. This lawnmower, I use it, say what, once in 1.5 months? The rest of the time, it's sitting there and it's in perfectly good condition. And they decided to make little flyers, very attractive, very beautiful, and dish out those flyers and say, offering lawnmower services. I have the lawnmower, it's been sitting there, not making money for me. Just the same way I mow my own lawn, why not use it to mow somebody else's lawn and make money? Did they need capital? No. Did they need any money? No. They just used the resources they have. So that's the second thing. Apart from your hobby, what is that thing you have? Some of us, we have excellent cameras. Are you using it? Whether it's at a graduation, whether it's at a party, find a way to monetize those items. Some of us have washing machines. There are so many things that we have that we are not using. I remember one time a man shared with us that when he was going through a difficult time, he decided to take his own vehicle and just do short runs from his house to the stage, and he would carry people and charge them slightly less than the matatus were charging. Now, I know we might get into the whole PSV debate, but at that particular moment, he was able to do something and get himself out of a temporary financial crunch. So that's one thing you can do. What's your hobby? Can you monetize it? Some of us are very, very creative. You can literally, I met somebody who could make lampshades out of cards, greeting cards that people see, they enjoy, and then they discard, and they're making lampshades. You have so many things around you. Monetize your hobby. The second thing that we can do, a garage sale. Have a personal OLX day. You'd be amazed if you go through your stuff, just how many things you have in perfect condition that you are no longer using. They are in working condition, they are excellent. Maybe you don't fancy them anymore, or you just don't have time to use them. Somebody else can buy that product, they are looking for that product, and you can be able to exchange it and make money, again, not for using, but for saving and investment. You have shoes, you have handbags, you have electronics, you have first edition classics. Yes, there are still people who love to read. You have furniture and so much more. And recently, people are even selling, yes, their trendy and well-groomed dreadlocks. So you could be walking around and you have your solution on your head and you're wondering, where will I get this money? Where will I get this money? Perhaps just the dreadlocks on your head can help you a great deal. Thank you, Pastor Koi. You'll get to know Pastor Koi very soon because you work very closely with her, our close assistant in MMC. Mr. K. Kirigi says, saving is easier said than done. Kindly help us about this. Thank you for being so real, Mr. Kirigi. I agree. It's just like we said with the sugar cane. It's easier to eat this fleshy part than the joint, but when you throw away that joint, you throw away the sweetest part of the sugar cane. Likewise, when you say something is hard. For example, today, when I was coming to shoot this Winning Ways Edition 2, I thought that I'm nervous and I'm not ready. And my production guys told me, no, you're not nervous. When you say you're nervous, then you become nervous. I want to say the same thing to you, Mr. Kirigi. Mindset matters a lot. What is mindset? The way we view life, the way we see things, a habitual way of thinking. When you habitually feed your mind with the idea that saving is difficult, then it becomes difficult. When they spoke to me and told me, no, you are not nervous, you're fine, you're good, you're prepared, immediately a calm settled on me and I said, okay, I can do this, let's go for it. That's why I'm here today to talk to you, Mr. Kirigi, and many others who are in and saying, can we change that fast? Can we stop saying that saving and investing is difficult? Can we instead begin to say saving is necessary? Supposing we say from today, saving is as necessary as showering. Saving is as necessary as brushing my teeth. Once your mind settles that something is necessary, it will figure out how to get that thing done. So my first challenge to you and everybody else who is there, let's change our mindset. If there's something I'm passionate about, I am passionate about mindset change. Why? Nothing changes until your mind changes. If your mind doesn't go there, your life won't get there. So the first thing you need to say is, actually, saving may not be easy, but it's necessary, and I can do it. And already we have discussed two ways. Monetize your hobby. Number two, just begin to look around your stuff and see, okay, I've outgrown this, I may not be able to use it, or maybe now I feel I need a plush sofa. Somebody else is at that level you're trying to exit, and they will gladly buy that sofa from you. Milka Wanjiro says, monetize my hobby. That's a good place to start. Ruth Wabi is also saying, I love that idea of monetize your hobby. And I would like to hear from you, Ruth and Milka. Do monetize, and let's hear the results of doing that. Shikongoge says, I'm tuned in and I am watching. Catherine Wawero is watching us from Thika. She says she's tuned in. Thank you, Catherine. And Christine Odwar has an answer for us. We asked, when is the best time to start saving and investing? And she says it plain and simple, as soon as you start earning. Pastor Kamau says to us, his comment is here, many times one can plan and begin, but what do you do when an emergency comes? I love this, because there's something like emergency. What do you do with sudden emergencies? I love that. I want to say that emergencies will always be there. It's a fact of life, because we cannot pre-plan life. We don't know what will happen. Things happen. You've heard it say stuff happens, life happens. So what do you do? Within your saving and investment, have an emergency fund. And restrict yourself to emergency. What is an emergency? Death of a loved one, maybe accident, or your car breaks down and you are not in a position to do that kind of overhaul. If you had known and set aside, within my saving and investment, I have an emergency fund, that becomes your cup. If a need arises, your own or somebody else's, you now have somewhere to go. I can turn to my emergency fund. So again, it's about planning. I will not just save for a distant future. I will not just save, say, for my children getting into uni. I will save even for these things that come up every day, and for sure they need immediate attention, and they are emergencies. You get into a crunch if you had not visualized that, if you had not planned for that. So I hope, Pastor Kamau, you helped in what we are saying, that just have an emergency fund so that you can be able to, just be able to address that issue when it comes up. We have so many responses. I want to be sure that I get everybody and not leave out anybody. Okay. And this is Isabella. Let me just get it right. I think Isabella Minor has this to say. Let me get it. We are not saving because of a bad day, but because of the future. Quite profound. Thank you, Isabella, much appreciated. We also have Ruth Wabi, she's having an answer. Saving is a discipline, and she puts that in capital letters, that one should cultivate. By definition, discipline is a practice of training. So it's not going to be necessarily overnight. It's not necessarily going to be a walk in the park, but this is something you can train yourself bit by bit and get there. She says it's a practice of training to obey rules or code of behavior. Of course, it's not easy, but it can definitely be done. We have Rachel Modoni. She says, when it comes to investment and savings, where do you draw the line of accumulating money in bank accounts and investing in yourself in terms of wanting to treat yourself or travel around? Does investing in yourself make you extravagant? Oh, this is an excellent question. Thank you so much, Rachel Modoni. This is what I would say. Before you spoil yourself, grow the amount that you have. I'm just trying to make it very, very basic. Let's say I've come into, let's just use just 100,000 that maybe I was not expecting, or I monetized my hobby and now it has come. I have it in hand, 100,000. There are two ways to go about this. You can go out and splurge and say, look, I deserve. I've been working. This is my earning. Why not celebrate? The other way of looking at it is, I can do it in percentages. I'll put aside a percentage to spoil myself, just to reward myself, a pat on the back, to say, I worked so hard, I deserve this. And the rest, I will make sure I save it and wisely invest it so that for the rest of my life, I will never go lower than this said amount. The third way of going about it is, why don't you invest the entire amount, grow it? By growing, what do I mean? Multiply it. Then after you get back your returns, you can put aside what we call the basic principle, or that capital that you began with, the 100,000, and then spoil yourself. What I would not advise us, especially today when you're talking about developing a culture of saving and investment, is taking this 100,000 that has come into your hands, either through your hard work or someone's generosity, and splurging all of it. Why? You're back to your starting point. So I really hope, Rachel Modoni, I've answered you. You can spoil yourself. That's not being extravagant, but you do want to be wise in how you are doing that. It's not extravagant, but you want to be wise. Mr. Kekirigi, he says, thank you for the answer. Saving is necessary. So he has said from now on, he's changing his mind. It is not difficult. This is what Lucy Gitch has to say. I have a problem with consistency as far as saving culture and save before attending to my concerns. Does one save from the remaining after bills, or should saving be the first thing? Listen, Lucy. The first thing you should do with whatever comes into your hands, of course, after honoring God, what we call kingdom economics, you put God first because he's the giver of everything, as we saw in James 1:17. So you've done your tithe, you've put aside your offering. The first person you pay is you, Lucy. What we tend to do is take care of bills. Bills do not enrich you towards your future. They take care of now. You pay the house, that story is finished. You go to the supermarket, that story is finished. You do your hair, nails. Realize this is money from your pocket that you're taking out to other people. Yet you are the one who worked so hard for that money. So the first principle you need to understand as far as saving and culture, immediately after God, it's not bills, it's not other obligations, it is you. Have a percentage and don't waver from it. Maybe you're saying 10%, maybe some start as low as 5%, others 20%. Sit down with yourself, go through your financials, come up with a percentage and say, As soon as I'm done dealing with my kingdom economics, I have paid my tithe, because we don't give tithe. The Bible says we pay tithe, the same way we pay taxes to the government. I've paid my tithe, I've given my offering, I've honored my pledges. The first person to pay is you. Now, how do you pay you? Contrary to what people think, it's not going to KFC and splurging. That's not paying you, that's paying KFC. It's not going to the salon, it's not going to the nail bar. Paying you is taking a percentage of that money and sending it to your future, saving it or investing it. That means, come what may, this money, I'm not spending it. I'm retaining it by putting it aside for a later day. Now, am I parking it in the bank? That's very controversial. My advice is your money should work for you. Pass it through the bank, create a paper trail, create a relationship with your bank, because tomorrow you probably need a loan from them. But don't park your money there. As soon as it has registered, take it out, put it in an investment. Now, we have so many ways to invest. Stocks, bonds, shares, SACCO. Get a solid, reliable SACCO. Put your money in there, and they can use it for their development plans, and you can get dividends. But the best part is, when your money is in a SACCO, you can now begin to plan, and you can begin to think, if I take it out, I'm taking it out to put it, say, into a business venture, which will multiply my money further. So I'm not one that is big on parking funds in the bank just for the sake of parking them there, unless of course you've put it in a call deposit and it's earning you a little something, or a fixed deposit, but not just for the sake of saying I'm saving in a bank. So give a percentage to yourself first. When that is saved, when that is invested, now let's talk about bills, which means we have to live within our means or slightly below, so that we have these finances that we can put aside for our future. As I continue reading your comments, let's get to the third way that we can raise money today. We're not talking about tomorrow. We've talked about monetize your hobby, and as you're sitting, I know you're already thinking, what can I do from today? We've also said go through your stuff, see the many things that you have that you're not using, and begin to use them. Number 3, get to work. Get to work. Now, this one is a bit interesting because I want us to be real. You want funds yesterday and you don't have them. At this point, we are not asking, is it your hobby? No. We are not asking, do you enjoy it? No. The question here is ability. Can you do it? Can you learn? Can you get busy? Are you willing? That doesn't come into the consideration, because you may not be willing, but there is a need here. The question is, are you able to do it? What are we talking about? Can you wash cars? One of the problems I've seen with so many people, they have this romanticized idea about white-collar jobs. They have this idea that certain jobs look funny and I don't want to be there. This is my principle in life. There are no menial jobs, only menial attitudes. There's nothing like a menial job. Just today, I was having an awesome conversation, and my production assistant, Koi, was telling me that there's a Ghanaian who's making it big in the UK, and he's tailor making or making bespoke clothes for the high and mighty. He's from Ghana, raised there, but he's doing very well. And at the end of the day, what are we saying? If we put it plainly, he's just packaged his sewing machine and his measuring tape. I mean, when you're growing up, nobody ever said, I want to be a tailor. But right now, he's rubbing shoulders with the who's who because he's a tailor. So sometimes it's not even about, am I willing, do I want? The rubber has met the road, you are in a situation, Can you do it? Can you wash those cars and raise the finances that you need to save and invest? Can you scrub clothes? You wash your own. Can you wash someone else's for a fee? Can you be a nanny? Can you clean people's houses? Maybe you're one of these people, we walk into your house and you're blown away. It's meticulous, it's neat, it's tidy. Others are slobs, but they have the money. Can you clean their house for them and earn money? Can you mow someone's lawn? Can you drop and pick someone's laundry, someone's dry cleaning, or just basically do petty errands? These are the things that we are discussing today, and I want to hear your take on this. Apart from monetizing your hobby that I've had quite a bit of feedback, what do you think about the other things? Number one, looking around and putting your electronics to work, things like a lawnmower, maybe a computer that you're not using. What can we do with that? Carolina says, I once did an investment on shares and it backfired miserably. How do you determine which investment to grab? I'll be getting back to answer that as we begin to close up. Catherine Wawero says, thank you for opening my mind. I check my house on those items that I don't really use and then I can sell them. And then Carolina says, paying you, great insight. And Catherine Wawero says, wow, I didn't know paying myself is putting some money aside for the future. Thank you for that. Let me answer Carolina as we begin to wrap up for today. With saving, at least that one is not so risky because you're putting your money aside. Investment, we grow, we learn. And the truth of the matter is you win some, you lose some. So how do we reduce our losses when it comes to investments? Talk to the experts. That's one. Don't just go into an investment because everybody's going there. Seek to understand. Number two, research. Google it, run. Just look through it from every particular angle. Talk to the people who've invested. How has your experience been? They say only fools rush in. So what I would say, Carol, investment is still good. Don't get discouraged. Before you invest, do your due diligence. When you're beginning, you want to be a moderate investor or what you call a safe investor. You don't just want to invest maybe in something new that has not been there before, something that's not tried and true. You want to go into a place that has a track record of dependability and reliability. So that's what I would say to you. You got your fingers burnt, but they say burnt fingers make the best cooks. And guess what? Out of that, you can now teach someone something because you learned a lesson. I am so excited. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for your comments, your views, your contributions. Probably I didn't get to read all the comments, but I don't take it for granted. You taking the time off your schedule just to hang out with me and to sharpen me and to grow together with me. I just want to let you know that every Wednesday we post a new blog on Kingdom Wealth and Prosperity on our website, www.millionairemindset.co.ke. I just want to invite you to take a look and ask your friends to also look in. Let's talk also on that platform. Let's share. But for today, that's all the time that we had. I am so glad and looking forward to seeing you. We are here every first Wednesday of the month beginning at 1 p.m. Looking forward to seeing you next month.